Yeah, that's falling apart before your eyes. That's what you get. That's what you get for watching a mini update. So it's been a long time. It's been like 6 months, and believe it or not, I don't have that much more done than the last update. It's just not my top priority 100% of the time, and that's okay. But it's been such a long time that I just want to make another little benchmark. So it's not going to be a full-fledged update. It's just going to be maybe a little mini update just so you can see where I'm at. I'm just going to be going over a few parts that I have printed, and also a lot of it is just going to be plans. So let's get into it. So yeah, this is the backpack. Okay, it's not like the entire thing. I just need one more of these and then it's done. Yeah, this is chaotic. So this, I'm going to be absolutely honest, it was a complete nightmare to slice. I was getting this file out, just looking at it, and I had a moment where I was like, how the heck am I going to do this? So I'll show you how I did it. In the middle part of the backpack between these two thrusters, we have this strip, this one, this, and these two right here that go over your shoulders. So what happened is I cut this thing all apart and they all go together kind of like this. So you can see where I split all of these up. I split it right here down this curve because, as you can see, this little curved C shape would have been extremely hard to print without a butt ton of supports and ruining some of these nice details. So I split it down this curve, and I also split it right here because this very long piece would have been difficult to print standing up because I did not have my CR10 at the time, so that would have been way too tall. So that's what I did for splitting these up, and now let's put these little things on. So this is what it looks like with those things on. And so these will just be sitting over my shoulders. I'll be putting some foam under these to make it a little more comfy on my shoulders, since a lot of the weight will be resting right here. So I'm going to need to make that as comfortable as possible. I also plan to use the harnesses to distribute the weight pretty evenly across the suit. Hello. At least distribute the weight of the legs and everything with that on my hips and the upper body on my shoulders, so as not to have the whole weight on my shoulders. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's do this quick. I just put this together very quickly. Also, as you can see with this one right here, I'm in the middle of the sanding process with this. Like, not even at the middle, like kind of towards the end. You can see there's still some layer lines in there, but I've been going over this with the power sander, and I'll talk more about sanding in a minute. But yeah, obviously I sliced these right there, and for obvious reasons, that's just an insane shape to print in one go. Like, who prints this in one go? I want to know if there's anyone who printed this backpack like as one piece. And if you show yourself, I'm going to be completely amazed and also terrified of you. Okay, if this will stand up for like one singular more second, I can show you how this connects. So let's see if it will. Let's see, it'll be a fun little game. So I printed this on my new CR10, and it's really gross right now because I've actually had a ton of problems with it and I've had to do a lot of replacements. And it's not pretty stuff that you can be like, oh, look at all this cool stuff I did to it. No, it's like the nitty gritty here. It's the nitty gritty. So yeah, I printed this on there. It's not the best quality because, you know, I had just gotten it not long before and I hadn't really tuned it as well. I will say I have tuned it a lot better now. It's still not the best, but it's better than this at least. But yeah, at least with the CR10, I was able to print this standing up. I could not have done this on any of my other two printers, which are the Ender and the Prusa. So the CR10 is proving very useful. If we can just see. Okay, so I did adjust that just a tiny bit, but it basically falls like this. It's uneven because obviously this is put together with one layer of duct tape and the final thing will of course be soldered together, PLA welded. But you know what, this is just a quick update. It's just a mini update. Nothing needs to be perfect. It's just a little benchmark. But yeah, it will just sit right here and it has a nice little printed slot right there, so you can easily align this whenever you weld it together, just like that. So I just want to say the slicing of this backpack, I owe it all to Mr. Frankly Built. I owe a lot of things in this suit to Mr. Frankly Built because this is the first suit I've made, obviously. It's also one of the first things I've 3D printed. Like, when I 3D printed, I made the mistake of going into this suit with a bang, and I haven't stopped since. So seriously, his videos has helped me so much, and particularly one of the main things is with slicing this backpack. I was at an utter loss until I found his video, and in particular, it showed me how he sliced this jetpack part. Yeah, that's falling apart before your eyes. That's what you get. That's what you get for watching a mini update. Basically, it just showed me how he sliced this part, just like that. Oh my goodness. Okay, I taped that together. So this is the exact way that he sliced his. Right down here, cut this part off of it. Because the problem was, when I would angle it to print right here, this ceiling part would get supports all the way up there. And of course, that's just insane. And the other way around is the exact same. Sideways, the same. This way, there would be way too many supports on this side and it would be so ugly. Upside down, like this, come on. So many supports supporting this ceiling part. That's just, you know, that's just insane. I don't know why. I was just at an utter loss of how to do this. I did not think about slicing this part off, so that was great. So yeah, this is just one of the little thrusters. These supports are going to be really hard to get off. I know, because I've been trying to get them off. I tried to get them off for like a good half an hour one time and I just quit because it is difficult. I'm going to get them off one way or another, but oh my goodness. And as you can see, the one last piece I have to do with the backpack is the other one of these mirrored, and this is just that mirrored. And when I get that part printed, I'll be done with this thing and I can weld it. My plan with this backpack is to sand all of these parts before I weld them. Just like this piece, I'm going to sand all these parts individually because I think it'll be a lot easier than sanding it when the backpack is all welded and combined. I could be wrong, but I think that'll probably be easier for me. I'm thinking I may connect these little boosters to the backpack in a slightly different way than permanently welding them, just because they have this nice little, oh, that's taken apart now. They have that nice little slot where you can stick that on. So I don't know absolutely for sure yet, but I do have plans to attach some parts of the suit, not permanently to each other, more of like a screw system. So we'll see about that. We'll see if it works, but that's something I would like to do for storage, travel, all that sorts of stuff. So that's the backpack. That's the main new thing. The other new thing I've printed is almost all of the other leg. So as you can see, this is the shin piece. I still haven't taken all the supports off of there. I've actually been sanding this side. It's a lot more rough than the other one. I have a slight problem with these and with some of the other leg pieces. It's that I printed them too thin. Yeah, they're a little flimsy. So I'm not exactly sure if it's going to cause too many problems. I've been doing a lot of this to kind of see if they're going to hold up. Prepared to print new ones if I need to. I'm prepared to just suck it up and do it. I'm not going to be happy about it, but you know. The very worst one is this orange one right here. This one is very thin. I've been sanding this too, but as you can see the infill because I accidentally printed it so lightly. Also, yeah, my finger's ugly right now. This is like something like 10% cubic or something. It's really bad. You can even see the sander had trouble getting to the layer lines where those are. So I really don't want to reprint this, but I think I may have to. I so don't want to, but you know, as I said, I'm prepared to do it because I want the suit to be good. I think this top gray part is pretty salvageable though. It's not the best quality, but it's a lot less flimsy than the other one. And this part I printed just, you know, completely normally, so it's of course going to be fine. So I think we may be good except for just this part. Anyway, yeah, this is most of the left leg done. All I'll need to do is print the knee pieces that go in between there. It's just 2 little knee pieces. It won't take but like a day or two and I'll be done with this whole left leg, which feels really good. So basically all I have left to do now are the 2 arms. When I said I'd talk about the sanding, this is basically what I'm going to talk about. So my first real experience with sanding was actually this helmet. As you can see, it's been sanded a lot of times. This was all by hand and I'm honestly really proud of it. This thing is like ungodly smooth since you spent literal weeks on it, which is a lot now that I'm thinking back on it, but you know, I was just getting started and I didn't really know what I was doing as well. And then this is kind of my second experience in sanding. This is when I got my electric sander and I'll tell you my process. So I think I have 120 grit or 150 grit on my electric sander. Went through here and I spent an hour. It was a long time. I went through and I sanded all of this leg. And I sanded it the best I possibly could, where I thought I couldn't sand it any further with that electric sander. Then, and only then, when I thought I could not do any better possibly with that, I took some filler primer This stuff right here, the stuff everybody basically uses for filler primer because it's good, I found out. And with this, I did not do a thick layer. I did not do a thick layer at all. In fact, I stood back quite a ways when I was doing this, and I only did about 3 really thin coats because I know from this helmet and my experience with this that this stuff will gunk up fast. It is very dense, which is a good thing for this, but I didn't want to overdo it because I didn't want to have to sand for like another hour to get this stuff sanded down. So after those super thin layers, I went back with my 60 grit to really scuff up that primer. And you can see all these lines from the 60 grit because it really just dug in there. After the 60 grit, you can start to see these layer lines that the filler primer has gotten into and covered. And after I started seeing this kind of thing all over the leg, I went in with my smoother 120 grit, basically just tried to smooth out some more after that rough sanding. I did that everywhere, and that's where I am on the leg right now. This thing feels smooth. You can see that most of the layer lines are covered up, and I'm actually really pleased with this. I don't have a lot of experience with sanding or priming or anything like that, so I'm actually really proud of this and proud of my progress. As you can see here, this is the spot where I actually welded this thing together, and some of you may be screaming at me right now, oh my gosh, you didn't weld on the outside. And I hear you, I definitely do. There is probably a lot of benefit to that. Maybe it would help it from not cracking on this little seam right here. So I could definitely see how there could be a great benefit to that. But honestly, I'm just going to focus on making my soldering connections where I do make them as strong as they can possibly be, fill them up and make them as dense as they can be, and just focus on that instead of welding both sides, because to be perfectly honest, I don't trust myself to be able to cover up those welding lines. I really don't. And if I start to see a lot of problem with this, like as I'm going through the harnessing and fitting stage with these parts as I weld them and they start to crack, you know, I'll weld them on the outside. So we're just gonna have to see. But for now, like I've been bearing down on this thing, sanding it. It's been through the ringer and this thing has not cracked. Like what you see now is just because I put that primer on and it's making this gap stick out more. This thing has not cracked or budged. And speaking of sanding, the helmet of this suit, oh my gosh, it's been a journey. First, I started out with this helmet. I printed it at 90% and it fit my head perfectly, so perfectly that it wouldn't have fit unless I cut out some slots in the back here to be able to actually fit my head in. Then I went through with the Craftsworks kit and motorized it right here, and it worked great. And the faceplate went down and up and everything was dandy. That was all in one of my past update videos. Well, after that, I realized that if I soldered this jaw piece to this helmet piece, this top dome piece would not flex enough for me to get my head in through here. Because guess what? It's so small that I cannot get this thing on unless this thing flexes. That's something I did not realize until I, out of curiosity, tried to hold these two together while putting my head on, and it didn't work. You know, it looked so good on my head. It was so fit. I had it motorized. So I decided, what if I elastic this jaw on? So I put some elastic on this jaw at a tight enough space to where this helmet could flex out and then come back to the same place like this. This elastic is tensioned just enough for it to come back to the right place. I put it on, took it off, it worked perfectly. Then I put the faceplate down, and little did I know, the faceplate was not perfectly down. This jaw piece kept it from hitting the bottom, just like this. It clips right here on the edge, just barely doesn't make it. I was so frustrated because I spent literal weeks trying to get those motorization hinges in the correct spots, because as good as Frankly Built's motorization kit video is, it does not apply to this Starboost helmet. It applies to that Mark 85 helmet that he used. It does not apply to this one, and I don't believe there are any tutorials specifically for this or tutorials that apply to all helmets. So unfortunately, as soon as I put this thing on, I knew that indeed it had not been correct. So that just kind of made me want to throw the whole thing away. But then I remembered something kind of cool that I had seen before, which was the Samurai motorization kit. And if you don't know, it uses this same type of servo plate up in there with those servos in it and those arms that connect to the faceplate from the servos. It uses that, but instead of hinges like these, it actually uses elastic. And as you know, I have a lot of elastic. So one, I thought that would be a lot easier to motorize in helmets that are not the Mark 85, which is why it's called the Universal Motorization Kit. Two, this might have been a blessing because these hinges, when they came down, were actually kind of blocking my eyes. They kind of landed right here in front of my face. It was honestly kind of uncomfortable and I couldn't push my face too far forward in the helmet because of where they sat. With the Samurai kit, if I'm not wrong, I believe the elastic actually lands here and here. So that would mean that these hinges would not be getting in the way of my eyes anymore and I could scoot my face further forward in this helmet, which is honestly where my face looks best, out in the spotlight. So my faith in this helmet is rejuvenated. I have figured out the hinge kit that I want to use, replace all this stuff with. Crash Course kit, it's great. It's honestly great what they've done and letting people motorize their helmets from home. It's really cool, but I think I am going to use the Samurai kit. So with all that said, I'm going to make this helmet work. Aside from the new motorization kit I'm going to use on this, I'm also going to put this jaw on in a different way than I have it now. Right now I have that elastic, which has worked good for the moment, but I'm thinking I may use something more along the lines of magnets to attach this. So it's a little bit more like the Wash 3D helmet. Of course, it's not the same, obviously not as good, but it will at least be a simulation of that by being able to take this jaw off, put the dome on, then put the jaw back on. And speaking of the Walls 3D helmet, I'm not going to be using it. And that is not any fault to the Walls 3D helmet. Walls 3D helmet is great, obviously. The Walls 3D helmet and the Dio 3D helmet are about the same size, but the only difference is I was able to get this one to fit me at 90% and the Walls 3D one, I was not able to. That's not his problem. He wasn't making his helmet for little baby faces like mine. I just have very small body proportions. I have tiny brain and I just need to adjust things accordingly with my suit to make them fit me, and I need to make the sacrifices necessary. So this is one of those sacrifices. And I will be making another video about how I'm scaling this suit because I am so proud of how I've scaled this suit, completely keeping the 90% scale while making exceptions to make it actually fit me and feel like it actually fits my frame. So I will be making another video about that once I get the arms done, therefore having the entire suit done. So that was our mini update done. So I don't believe I had enough for a full update, so I just wanted to do a little mini update there in the middle before I go into those phases of harnesses, arms, sanding, painting, flexible filaments, all that stuff. I just wanted to have a little stopping point right in the middle there. But I am really excited about this build. I'm fired up about it. I'm fired up about a lot of the things I've been able to do with it. A lot of the things I'm planning and have gotten supplies for to make this thing different and cool and just look cool and function and be mobile and just all this stuff. It's just really cool and really cool to make and be excited about. So yeah. That's all I have to say here, but I'm looking forward to continuing this and I'm looking forward to the next update. So yeah, I hope y'all are doing well and thank you for following my build and thanks for the support I've gotten lately, and good luck with your own builds if you're doing yours, because I know a lot of people that watch this are building their own things right now and have their own projects. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Until next time.